I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the September 23rd County Commission meeting. I would remind you to silence your cell phones. The meeting documents are on the end of the counter next to Commissioner Kelly in the white folder. And if you need a listening device, Robert is in the front row and he would help you with that. I'm going to start out this meeting by recognizing some employees that were recognized at our annual South Dakota Association of County Commissioners conference this last week in Pierre. I'm going to read their names off and then I will come down and meet you in the front and hand you your certificates just so everybody else can hear. Ken McFarland, Administrative Officer for the Commission Office, 35 years. Lisa Behrens, JDAI Placement Coordinator for the JDC, 30 years. Kim Morstead, Administrative Assistant for the JDC, 30 years. Kent Vetras, Home Detention Officer, JDC, 30 years. And Mary Lapelt, Sergeant for the Sheriff's Office, 30 years. And I want to thank you guys for your long-time commitment. I wasn't even thinking about working very long at that point, so. In addition to that, we were recognized for 25-year, in addition to the 25-year certificates, I don't think I have that right. We were the Minnehaha County Safety Committee employees were awarded the Gold Level Cost Control Safety Achievement Award and recognized for the outstanding loss control ratios in our workman's comp and other various liability insurance plans. And Doug Blanc, which I don't see Doug, but that would go to them. So. Then I would look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, wait. I think there was going to be an amendment.
Oh, yes.
You guys are fast this morning. I would like
Substitute
to
motion.
make an amendment to remove item 20 from the agenda.
I have a substitute
Second.
motion. I have a motion and a second for a substitute motion to remove item 20 from the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Now I'd like in a moment a motion on the original to approve the agenda with the amendment.
My motion. That's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is to approve the County Commission minutes of September 9th, 2014.
Move the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any other corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 3 are bills to be paid in the amount of $949,860.70.
Pay the bills.
Second the bills.
A motion and a second. Are there any comments? Commissioner Barth?
I just, on today's bills, there are over 280 individual mental illness bills.
I'd also like to remind everyone that this is 2 weeks' bills since we did not have a commission last week since we were in Pierre. So I have a motion and a second on the bills. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 4 are reports. The Register of Deeds official statement of revenue collected during August 2014. The Minnehaha County Sheriff's Department report for August 2014. The South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance 2013 Membership Annual Report, and the Juvenile Detention Center's Statistic Report for August 2014 have all been received, and they are placed on file in the Auditor's Office. Item 5 is personnel actions. A is consider a motion to approve the routine action.
Is there a
Move
motion?
for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on personnel. Are there any questions for HR? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
There are no application for abatement today. The next item is a notice and request to authorize the county auditor to publish a notice to bidders for HVAC modifications in the Minnehaha County Public Safety Building. Mark's here if there's any questions on that.
Is there a motion to authorize publish of notice for bidders?
So moved.
Second. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any questions for Mark regarding this publication of notice? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mark.
There are no planning and zoning notices today, and there are no petition for compromise of lien. Next item is an opportunity for public comment.
This is a time when anyone from the audience can come forward and speak about anything that is not on the agenda. And Jeff Barth has a comment. If you would
Madam Chair,
identify yourself and your...
Jeff Barth, Sioux Falls. I'm up here today to tell you that I've taken some action in federal court yesterday to make sure that documents are not further lost or destroyed that could shed light on what appears to be an unauthorized privatization of the management of the Sioux Falls EB5 program by Yup Bolin, the SDRC Incorporated, and a company that he formed while still an employee of the state. Governor Dugard and former Governor Rounds have both stated that they did not grant authority to a state employee, Yup Bolin, to sign that contract with the company that he owned. Money is missing, records are missing, and probably records are continuing to be destroyed. And no one apparently approved this privatization of that previously run EB5 program in 2008 when he signed that contract with himself. So I'm concerned that given the magnitude of these losses for the investors, for the Northern Beef Packers, $95 million, and the fraud by Yup Bolin and his associates during that period of time, and he's still being paid at that time, that South Dakota budget may face an additional potentially greater $100 million hit that will result in further cost shifting to county budgets. The filing in federal court yesterday speaks for itself, and I will have no further comment on this matter. I just wanted to let you guys know because apparently it's getting known. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, we will move on.
Regular business. Item number 10 is a public hearing to consider application to transfer a retail on-sale liquor license from Dale Robb to Mitch Runge for the Red Rock Bar and Casino. The licensed property is Track 1B, Macbeth Edition, Northeast Quarter of the Southeast Quarter, Section 27, Township 101 North, Range 48 West, located at 48181 Highway 42, Brandon. The Sheriff's Department, State's Attorney's Office, and Planning and Zoning have reviewed the application, and there were no objections or concerns reported. And Mitch Runge is here if you have any questions.
This is a public hearing. Do you want to speak? And is there anyone in the opponents that want to speak? Do you want to say anything, Mr. Runge? Okay. Okay. Are there any opponents to this? Seeing none, is there any questions on the commission side? Look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve a liquor license for Dale Robb to Mitch Runge for the Red Rock Bar and Casino. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 11 is a public hearing to consider an application to transfer a retail on-sale liquor license and a retail on-off-sale malt beverage license from Swearingen Enterprises Incorporated for Breck's Bar and Grill to Michael Swearingen for Chasers Food and Spirits. The licensed property is Whitrock Track 1 and 2, Northwest Quarter of the Northwest Quarter of Section 22, Township 101 North, Range 50 West, located at 4805 West 12th Street in Sioux Falls. The Sheriff's Department, State's Attorney's Office, and Planning and Zoning have all reviewed the applications, and there were no objections or concerns reported on either of these applications. And Michael Swearingen is here, and Judy, if you have any questions to ask them.
This is again a public hearing. If you have anything to say as proponents to this, there should be your opportunity to speak.
happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition to this one? You have to come to the microphone, state your name and your address.
I'm Lucille Langdon. I live at 3900 South Orchid, but we own the property beside and behind Michael Swearingen's bar. And my problem is we have had nothing but trouble with him. The county has told us we were to put up a fence to separate our property, which we had until he took it down. He called us and wanted to take it down to build onto his bar, which we let him, but he never put it back up. So the county came on us and said, you need a fence here. We started putting the fence up. We put it, I called like 3 different lawyers, and they all told me, fence line is your property line. We've owned the property almost 40 years. And they do not seem to think that way. They're saying we're like some places 1 inch over onto their property. Now what's 1 inch, I don't really know. In the meantime, he has did damage to my husband, who now has a feeding tube, has been in the hospital again 6 days out of the last 14, thanks to Michael Swearingen. And he's only 72 years old, has always worked hard all of his life, and now can hardly do anything. Michael took the liberty on his own to knock the whole fence down. He has a volleyball deal there. We've never said a thing. We pick up beer bottles, beer cans, all kinds of garbage off of our land. Because now without a fence there, they come from his property, up onto ours, steal car parts, break into, and I'm not saying it's his people, but they can get there now. And so we're getting a lot of cars out there that are totally stripped.
Ma'am, could you pull the microphone down, plees?
One thing we would like to do is that the county says we can put the fence back up. He has gotten a deal against us that we can't come on his land. He's not supposed to come on ours, but about a month ago, he came up, and my husband was sitting in the one office doing his Jevity feeding, and he walks in just screaming and hollering at him that he's going to break his blankety neck. Because he moved a little bit of dirt. He piled dirt by the gate so high that nobody can get through it. It was put there by the fire department, had asked for it so that they could get to the back of the buildings. And now, of course, we can't get through there. So I feel like when somebody wants a liquor license, even when he wants a new one next year, there should be able to be people that can come and say something that are their neighbors.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Langdon? Commissioner Bennigan.
I don't have any questions for Mrs. Langdon, but I have maybe one for Scott, and if there's anybody here from the sheriff's office. Scott, has the planning and zoning been out to review this lot lines and all of those surveying issues that she's talking about?
Well, typically we don't get involved with lot line or surveying issues because we don't have any licensed surveyors in our office. It's pretty hard for us to determine where a property line is actually located, especially if it's a fence that may be an inch off the property line. I mean, that is, wouldn't be anything that typically a neighbor would say anything about, because that could just be one warped board and you're suddenly over an inch or something. But I guess I'd have to do some more research because I'm not sure it was us. I don't think it was planning and zoning that told you to put a fence up.
It was the county, whoever the county, I think it was you, I won't say Scott, that I talked to, but who was working on it was the lady, Pat.
Oh.
And she was working with us, and some guy down there was causing that we had to put this fence up, and we agreed with them.
Mrs. Langdon, you need to speak in the mic because Commissioner Kelly can't
We
hear you.
would like to put the fence back up because it'll keep, all this riffraff off of our property and having stuff stolen and everything. But nobody will let us right now put it back up because if we put it up, he's going to knock it down. He's told us that. And what he does is he takes his pickup. I've got pictures of it. I should have brought them with. He takes his pickup and drives into the post and breaks them off.
I would think if it's on your property line that he would not be legally able to do it, so maybe you need to review
He's
where the
coming on his
property
own
line is.
property up and just pushing them over. He's on his property when he does it.
I understand that, but if they're on your property line, then you would have legal action against them, am I correct?
Well, we have, it's been worked on, but, you know, how the lawyers are of getting things done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but we just want that the county then says we can put this fence up and that he cannot knock it down.
I don't know that the county has any jurisdiction to do that at all. I think that you have to go work through your lawyers and get your plotting down to exactly where your property lines are and make sure that they're on your side. Kirsten, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'd advise, you know, you're right to put up a fence on your property line. I mean, that goes with your property rights. Now, determining where your line is, you may need a surveyor or somebody to determine that. Also, if somebody's destroying what is your property, legally on your property, I don't know if you've called the sheriff's office.
Yes, I've called the sheriff. I talked to Milstead again. I have called the sheriff many times. They have been out. They were out again a month ago when he went on our property up to our office and threatened my husband.
Okay.
So there is reports with the sheriff's department on this. And that's the only reason I'm coming here is to try to get something done. We have owned this property. We want to, you know, utilize the property. He doesn't think we should. And I mean, we pay taxes and everything, so, you know.
Commissioner Barnes?
I wonder if we could have the proponent respond.
Yeah. If you're done, Mrs. Langdon?
Yeah.
Yep. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Mr. Swearinga?
May I speak in his behalf?
Mhm.
He's swearing
Yep.
his wife.
Yep, you just have to come up and identify yourself and...
And make sure to speak into the mic.
You bet.
Good morning. Judy Swearingen, my husband, Michael, Mick. And I'm really glad that Lucille is here today because we've had this civil lawsuit going for almost 3 years now. And our attorney has done everything they can to move this along, and her attorney, or their representation, has not kept it moving forward. It's a civil case. Everything she's saying is fallacy. And what I'm going to tell you, please keep in mind that we own this license for 10 and a half years. We ran a good, clean business. The Sheriff's Department can even attest to the fact that we didn't have infractions against us for stings. We didn't have infractions against us for fighting and calls to our restaurant and lounge and things like that. Under the other management, they got stunk by, or the ownership for that free 9 months. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't public speak all the time anymore. I did take Toastmasters, though. You notice no ums, right? Under the other ownership, they did get stung once. And I believe you've met them here at this meeting. We were unaware of it until after the fact. And then they lost the business due to poor management, and I believe they had some other different type of people attending their establishment. We intend to run it the same way we did for the decade and a half that we previously owned it, and pay our taxes and make a good living and provide a nice place for people to come and eat good food and relax.
Commissioner Peckus?
Is the current lawsuit against, I believe it's the name of your business, Swearingen Enterprises, Inc., or is it personally against you, Mr. Swearingen?
Oh, that's a good question. We'll have to contact our attorney and figure that out for sure.
The reason why I think it's significant is that if you actually transfer this license and you're under a lawsuit, there are potential fraudulent transfer act. That's a valuable asset you have, that liquor license. And so obviously if you're transferring an asset under summons from the court, you know, they can go back and they can look at that transferring of that asset. So
Okay,
I think that's
are
something
you saying
to ask.
if it was under a summons it's being transferred back?
Well, the party, who was sued? Was it Swearingen Enterprises or was it Michael Swearingen? Who was sued?
We haven't been sued.
No,
We're pushing the action to get the fence back off our land.
We're the one.
We have the case pending.
Oh, all right, okay.
We hired the attorney to push the fence back because it's more than an inch.
Yeah.
All
We're
right,
taking
okay.
considerable
I
amounts of-
misunderstood.
Okay.
I misunderstood.
And I know there was a lot of fallacies, but there's one other thing I want to bring to your attention. That gate actually allows them to pull down a driveway from their own shop through our parking lot to go out to the highway. We were told by the planning and zoning gates, whatever they want to use for material to put up a fence, they can do that. Cosmetics don't mean a thing, but they do not have access to our ground to use it as a driveway to go in and out of their property. So that's why that dirt was piled up in front of there to use to fill in low spots in our yard for mowing next year. Mr. Langdon took the liberty of bringing his Bobcat onto our property again and moved the dirt. And we have pictures of that also. So it's just a civil case that's been nasty, and I'm really glad she's here today to listen to this, because they need to contact their attorney to contact our attorney to get this thing moving along. It's been going on for way too long, and it's time to get it settled. We've had the land surveyed. They don't follow the survey lines. We have expended a lot of money to get this settled. We're good neighbors, and we want to be good neighbors. Do you have further questions?
Yes, I do.
Commissioner Barth.
Ma'am, so what about the issues of littering and, beer bottles, whatever?
We keep our grounds as clean as you could possibly believe.
So is she finding any on her grounds? That
if she is, they never brought it to our attention, and after they did bring it, when they afterwards brought this up, we would love to go over if there was a bottle or a piece of paper or whatever, but we don't have access to their property. And when wind blows, but we do everything we can. The fence is still up, by the way. And there's a net that covers our volleyball court from their property. So anything that would blow into that net or in the fence or in the poles, because they have some panels down that were blown down by the wind, we pick all that fence line up. We keep our parking lot spotless.
Any other questions?
Gerald?
Commissioner.
I see that the assistant sheriff is here, and I'm wondering if Michelle would have any comments about any of the allegations of the number of calls that we've been addressing. Thank you.
You can sit down. Thank you.
You'll ask us again, though? I mean, clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle. You kind of get roped into this one. I don't know if you know what we're talking about.
I was briefly listening, but if it's on calls for service at 12th and Ellis, is that?
12th and Ellis, yeah.
I can do some checking quick and get back to you, but I was not prepared to speak to that
I
today.
understand. I'm sorry that you walked in at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But I would like to have that information. Is there any way that you can look that up?
Yes, give me a few minutes and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Commissioner Barth.
I was just going to, along those lines, if it took longer, we could always defer for a week. But, so how about if we, what would be the correct thing to do? Set this aside?
Pardon me, Jeff. You guys speak into the mic.
Set this aside and go on to other business.
I'll make a motion to move this to agenda item number 20, which we just vacated.
Okay. I have a motion to move this to agenda item number 20. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. This moves this item to item number 20 on our agenda, so we'll just go on with our business and come back to it. Okay?
Item number 12 is a public hearing to consider a petition to vacate a private right-of-way described as the portion of East Whitetail Place beginning at the west 51 feet of the south 32 feet of Tract 4A, Martin's addition to the city of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, lying adjacent to Tract 1A and 2 of Brenda's addition, and extending to the east edge of Tract 6 of Orchard Hills addition, all in Section 26, Township 101 North, Range 49 West. David Heinold.
David Heinold, Planning Department. We received a private road vacation from Dean Whartonby to vacate portion of East Whitetail Place. As you can see in this map right here, it's the west 51 feet by 32 feet. Petitioner would like to construct a detached garage at the end of. Sorry about that. So, as I mentioned, the vacation request. Let's see. Where is it? Should be up there. Okay, let me start over. David Heinold, Planning Department. We received a private road vacation request from Dean Whartonby. The location map, it's in the southeast corner of the city of Sioux Falls. It's at the end of East Whitetail Place. It's just west of Dutchess Avenue, which eventually connects with 33rd to the north of that one. This request, the petitioner actually owns that entire lot right there. As you can see, the L-shaped lot that extends off of Whitetail Place. There was a division, but this lot is the same. The petitioner currently has a house under construction right now. They would like to construct a garage at the end of Whitetail Place hence the private road vacation. As I've mentioned, that it doesn't, as I skip forward, these are just some of the pictures that I took. This is Whitetail Place looking back towards the east. This is Dutchess Avenue to the north and to the south. So this Orchard Hills addition, is, it was indicated on the map, it was to the west. The only other property that would have legal access to the property, I did some checking around with the Register of Deeds, and I found the quote that was filed on November 19th, 1990 in Book 52, page 270. It said that Herb Place is a private roadway easement, which is thereby reserved. As you can see there, it's an extension off of Elena Circle, that it should be reserved as a permanent unobstructed access. Said easement is for vehicular and pedestrian travel for the purpose of accessing that Lot 6, which would be immediately to the west of this private road vacation. And if I go back to the map, just for reference, I contacted the city, and they don't foresee any issues with the proposed vacation. So they're actually wanting to go ahead with the building permit at this time, but we would need to approve a private road vacation prior to that. On September 11th, I met with Dean Whartonby, who is at the meeting, so if you have any questions for him, you can answer them, to just discuss the proposed vacation. So I mentioned that they are building a residence on the lot and would like to build a garage there. So the action and authority that provides the county, South Dakota Codified Law 3138, states that any person may have a private road laid out, changed, or vacated upon presenting a petition to the Board of County Commissioners of the county in which petitioner resides under regulations provided for roads running through one county only. The such board may order such private road to be located, changed, or vacated without any view. If there be no remonstrance against such petition, the petitioner shall open and keep and repair such road at his own expense. So staff finds that the public would be better served by such petition and recommends approval. Private road vacation 14-03. So action should be taken to approve or deny the request to vacate the portion of East Whitetail Place as described in the attached resolution. So if you have any questions, I'll entertain them. Thank you.
Commissioner Barth.
So that wooded lot to the west there, no one will ever need access to it? Right there?
Well,
you're going to use a helipad or what?
The access, the one that I found was with the Register of Deeds. It was on file over about 24 years ago. That provides that access off of Elena Circle and extension. It's about a 20-foot roadway easement through there.
It's not shown on this map, though, on the easement further from that other property.
If I go back to the plat that was filed with the Register of Deeds, you can see it right here, kind of. There's about a 24-foot easement.
David, I can't really hear you when you're, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. There's a 28-foot easement that's labeled as Herb Place, which is that private roadway easement that provides access to that Lot 6. That comes off the extension of Elena Circle and comes this way and goes straight south. As you can see right here, there's a little 28-foot easement that extends to this Lot 6, and then there's a drainage easement that runs between the two tracks.
Can I have Kirsten
I can
address
speak to
this,
that.
please?
A private easement, private access easement is not necessarily going to appear on a GIS map because it's a private right that's been filed in the Register of Deeds. The GIS map and the Register of Deeds, all the property rights that are on a property don't necessarily show up on that. That is determinative of what the property right is, what is filed in there. The GIS map may or may not reflect that roadway, so, or potential roadway.
Commissioner Kapakis.
You talked about Lot 6. Is that owned by the applicant?
It's not owned by the applicant, but it's owned by one of the neighbors that's also in the city off of Elena Circle, that Lot 3. They own Lot 6 too.
All right.
So they were notified of the meeting, and there's been some concerns presented from them. I'm not
They
sure.
have some concerns?
There's a representative.
Okay, all
Okay.
right, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Kelly?
Well, where is this? What if the neighbor sells that? It's a platted lot, right?
Well, it's a platted lot.
What if the neighbor sold it? What if the neighbor sold it? Where's the access to lot 6?
The plat that I found was the Orchard Hills Edition plat that includes those 6 lots. Off of Elena Circle, that includes lot 6.
How would they get to it?
They would access through the private roadway easement.
And where's that?
Filed with her place.
And where's that?
And that's located between lots 2 and 3.
Between what?
Between lots 2 and 3.
Right here.
This one,
Right on
lots
that
2
lot line.
I can help you.
and 3.
Yeah, right here. You have to come down here and then over.
Okay, there's an access.
Are there any other questions for David? Otherwise, since this is a public hearing, we would go to the proponents and opponents, so we can call David back.
Like that.
Okay. Is there any proponents that want to speak on this vacation? Those people who are in favor of the vacation. Is there any opponents that want to speak against the vacation of this road? David, did you say you saw someone here that wanted to speak?
I was told that there was a representative.
Okay. Don't see anybody either. Robert?
Commissioners, I would just add one thing to this discussion. I did Robert Wilson of the County Commission Office, and I received a phone call last week from a attorney indicating he represented the owner of the property directly to the west, the triangle-shaped property.
Number 6. It's number 6.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm hovering over it. And he indicated that his clients and the individuals pursuing the vacation had some issues, but they were talking about that. And there was a possibility that they would come in and oppose this, but there was also the possibility that if those negotiations went well, they may not. And so I heard that at the end of last week. I have not heard anything more from those parties. So I simply would present that to you for your knowledge that was a contact that the office received, but we did not receive anything beyond that initial alert that possibly somebody could oppose it, but it was certainly not a definite at that point.
Okay. Any questions for Robert? Okay. We have someone who wants to speak with the proponents. If you would just identify yourself and your address and speak in the microphone so Commissioner Kelly can hear you.
So the audience can hear it too.
Can you hear me over there? Dean Whartonby, I'm the petitioner on this particular property. And of course, when the notices go out, there's always questions. And I fielded a call from the neighbor to the west. If I can say his name is Galen Vonk. And I've known him for many, many years, and we were at their house Sunday night, and he was concerned that maybe he could just use that for whatever purposes, and he said there was no contest at all. So that's pretty much the story, and the whole road is private easement anyway, so even with approving that, there's no way that you could get from Dutchess down to where the garage is. So it's kind of a mute thing. I think it's kind of a neighborly thing. And so we just had no issues, and neither did he. So thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Whartonby? All right. Is there a motion on this vacation?
Madam Chair, could we just discuss for a minute?
Yep.
I would really feel better if we had some assurance from that other owner in writing or, whatever, to let us know that they did have no objection to this, because I see this as tying their hands for a long time and being a sore subject at some future date.
Kirsten, did you
They're giving notice of the hearing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
They've given notice and they
but
talked to
that's
Mr.
your
Whartonby.
prerogative. But I will add that to the discussion that they were well aware. In fact, they've even retained counsel, as I understand. I thought from what Mr. Wilson told me and others. So, but that's up to you.
Any other discussion on the commission side? I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the, I guess, the
Vacation of the right-of-way.
Vacation of the right-of-way.
I'll second it.
We have
all
a
need
motion.
vacation.
A motion and a second to vacate the right-of-way. Is there any other additional comments or questions?
Well, I'll just set the record straight, at least from the evidence that was presented here, if you want to call it evidence, it's not sworn. It appears, though, that at least with the addition plat that was presented between lots 2 and 3, there does appear to be a driveway or some sort of access easement called Herb Place, which actually extends down into lot 6 to allow for entrance and exit to that lot 6, and that's all part of the addition that was at least documented in writing. The other easement coming down off of, I believe it's Whitetail Place, obviously is that extra land that currently attaches to where they want to do the building. So there is access here, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is that, you know, at some future date there may be some sort of allegation that this is a landlocked piece of land and the only access they have is from Whitetail, and I think that goes to what Commissioner Barth was really concerned about with the helipad comment. But anyway, getting back to Herb Place, they have it on the addition, so the reality is that between lots 2 and 3 they should have notice that in some future date that if lot 6 is ever sold to somebody, they can probably go and enforce that potential identified Herb Place access. So
I have a motion and a second to approve the right-of-way. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Thank you.
Item 13. Number 13. Consider recommendation to reject submitted bids for roof repairs at 1401 West 51st Street, and consider a motion to authorize the auditor to republish the notice to bidders with a new completion date of June 1st, 2015. The original bids were opened on September 10th, 2014. Mark Kreins.
Good morning, Commission. Mark Kreins, Assistant Director of Facilities. We put out the bids for the roof replacement, and we got 2 bidders, Guaranteed Roofing and Great Plains Roofing. And Guaranteed Roofing was the low bidder, but they did not meet the requirements for the bid specifications for the completion date. And Great Plains Roofing was the other bidder, but they were $26,551 over the estimate provided by the insurance company. So we are recommending rejecting all the bids and reopening bids for a new completion date of June 1st, 2015.
That's my motion with a comment.
Sorry.
I'll second. I have a comment too.
Motion and second with comment from Commissioner Peckus.
Well, okay. Well, I'd like to say that I haven't heard about this going on in our community, but it is going on in our community, that people that were damaged from that hailstorm, the bids have been quite miserly from the insurance companies, and it seems that there seems to be a disconnect between the construction that needs to be done pursuant to the bid specs that we have set out and private parties have also set out, and there seems to be a real disconnect with what the insurance companies are willing to pay for. So unfortunately, it's not just private parties caught up with it. It looks like it's governmental entities such as Minnehaha County that also is in a similar circumstance. And you know, this is concerning because I don't like to see it obviously on a personal level, and I certainly don't like to see it at a governmental level either.
Commissioner Barth.
And I'm also aware that with the huge number of roofs being replaced, that people cannot get them fixed this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, after a hurricane, you can't buy plywood, you know, that's just what happens. And
Commissioner Kelly.
Well, I think in fairness, it's a little bit of supply and demand. With, I mean, in our neighborhood, it looked like every house in the neighborhood got a new roof. And so their bids are not going to be as competitive as they would be in a normal year where there isn't that much work out there. I think we're wise to extend this to June 15th or June of 2015, because they're just, even though there's a lot of new outfits in this town, there just flat isn't enough. There's not enough time to get it done before winter. So.
Commissioner Peck.
But I don't think it's all the insurance companies being cheap fault either. I think it's a supply and demand deal, and the insurance companies are just saying this is what our standards are, and so we'll go back and rebid.
Commissioner Peckus.
Well, the reality is twofold. Not only do you have a question as to how much the insurance company wants to pay, but then you also get a notice in the mail from your mortgage holder saying, if you don't get your repairs done within 120 days, we're going to bring an action for foreclosure. So you have, mortgaged properties that have to get their property fixed, and you have insurance companies balking at the amounts that are being alleged for damages. And, who's the person getting squeezed? Our property taxpayers in Minnehaha County. And so this is an issue that we need to pay a lot of attention to.
Any other comments? Mark, I'm just wondering when we're going to go to bid. I mean, since we just did bid, are we going to let a little time go and then bid again?
I'm not sure what he wanted to do on that. I think he wanted to turn around and redo it pretty soon. I know that the insurance company, they had a time frame, but they would work with us and still cover it later on as long as they knew we were going to get it repaired.
All right.
Commissioner.
Yes.
I did talk to Lloyd about that, and I know there was some concern with the 180-day period running, and we've been assured by the insurance company that they will waive that requirement in light of so much work going on in the area and the difficulty of retaining a contractor. And I believe Lloyd told me anyway that the intent was to rebid it, but with a longer horizon date, just to make the bids more competitive. So
I have a motion and a second. Let's see. The sealed bids for the Minnehaha County Facility Department will be received at the Office of the County Auditor until 10:30 a.m. on the 15th of October. Commissioner Benega.
Mark, I guess just a
Thank you.
wanting to know comment. The roof that's currently there is not leaking, is it?
No, but not currently, but we do quite a few repairs, bandages on it every year.
So if we wait
stop.
6 months and we have 3 feet of snow on it, what are we going to have next spring?
We had a roofing contractor down there, I believe that was last year, and they went around the whole roof and did a bunch of patchwork where they thought it needed to be prevent leaks, so we haven't had problems yet.
Good.
Commissioner Kelly.
Is the motion to reject these bids?
Reject the bids.
Okay, and then what was the second one?
I just read off what the date was for the reopening of bids, because it's to authorize the republication notice to bidders with a new completion date.
Is that commission action also?
That is part of the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? So I have a motion and a second to reject the submitted bids and to authorize republication notice of bidders with a new completion date of June 1st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14 is consider a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $52,027.34 to the contract with PCI Roads for project MC50-300-118-1 Highway 109 Bridge Deck Overlay. Jason Reeves.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jason Reeves, project engineer at the Highway Department. We have some housekeeping items this morning for some of our contracts with our contractors out there. The first one we have here is for this is what we call a low slump overlay on a bridge just southwest of Garrettson. The change order amount is a little over $52,000, which is quite high, but on a bridge deck like this, it's when we do the initial survey, or our consultant did the initial survey, you can tell where the dead spots in the bridge are, but you're not real sure of how deep they are until you actually start hammering out the bad concrete. So as they proceeded through the reconstruction of this bridge deck, most of the bad areas were deeper than initially would would have thought. So thus the larger amount in this change order. This change order will allow us to final out this contract with PCI Roads and be done with this project. So we're looking for approval of this change order.
Any questions for Jason? Look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second with a question from Commissioner
What's
Barth.
delamination?
Delamination is when the concrete it just loses its rigidity. You can actually hear it. What we call is chaining it. You pull a chain across the bridge or tap a chain on it, and it makes a pinging sound if it's still good, and it makes more of just a dead thud sound, and it's just lost its life cycle, really.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, just remember, Shannon Schultz said the structural integrity of a hole is 0. So let's fix the holes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 15 is consider a motion to approve change orders for the La Mesa Avenue grading and Highway 114 culvert replacement projects. $1,832.27 increase to the contract with Blacktop Paving for La Mesa grading, and $3,020.72 to the contract with H&W for culvert replacement. Jason Reeves.
Good morning again. These are two projects that we did informal quotes on. One was for the La Mesa project that we needed to get graded so that we could pave it before the school opened up on Maple Street there. This was just final quantities, and the final quantities ended up being about $1,800 more than what the estimate was, just mainly because of a couple of manholes that were found out there that we didn't initially know, and that was for the Blacktop Paving contractor. And then the H&W contracting was the box culvert that we replaced with the culvert that was falling in on Highway 114, and that was just for some extra granular material that we ended up with rather than backfilling soupy junk material in the trench. So these are just final quantities to pay these contractors and final out these bills also.
Make a motion to approve these changes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional questions?
Question.
Commissioner Kelly.
What did La Mesa end up costing us total? Do you know offhand?
This contract with Blacktop Paving was approximately $35,000 would be the final number, 36. But then our in-house crews did the paving on it, and I believe the estimated tonnage on that that tonnage came out of our annual materials bid from Concrete Materials, but I believe that tonnage was somewhere in the neighborhood of $225,000. So we're in that $240,000 range, and that doesn't include our time and labor from our crews themselves. It would have been more than that if we would have bid it out to pay for a contractor to pave it also, but I don't know what the time was from our crew. That was just material cost, and then this contract with Blacktop Paving.
And then the reason we did this is because the city must have. Did the city pave the east-west, whatever, is that Madison?
Madison Street is not paved. No, we talked.
Got a gravel road that they own that goes from the school to.
Nope, the school's on Maple Street.
Maple, okay.
And that Madison Street is paved a half a mile from La Mesa to Marion Road is a full mile. They have it paved on Madison Street for a half of a mile there, and then it's gravel from that half a mile to La Mesa, and also gravel from La Mesa all the way to Ellis on Madison Street.
And how about Maple?
Maple Street's fully paved.
Okay. So it was $50,000 is what that L annexation cost us.
I don't know what the...
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Barth.
Paving La Mesa from the south cost us $220,000 in material and $30,000 in county employees. And so then these other culverts and things are...
So what total have we got in this? I'm sorry.
Near $300,000.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a motion and a second to approve the change orders on La Mesa and also on a culvert replacement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank
Item
you.
16, consider a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $4,958.62 to the contract with Swingen Construction for DOT project BRO 805064 structure replacement and approach grading at structures number 50-298-200, the Spook Road Bridge. Shannon Schultz.
Good morning, Commissioner. Shannon Schultz, Assistant Highway Superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Peckus, for listening.
I listen.
So this is more housekeeping. This is a 100% state project. They designed it. They administered the construction. We have our cost participation share at the end of the day that we will get reimbursed for. So they had a change order on that project because the spring rains hit just about the time they were to finish out the project. Another week, and that project would have been 100% complete, and the repairs would have been on the burden of the township. However, it was under construction, and so the state paid the contractor an additional $10,000, well, about $11,000, to adjust the final quantities and also clean up the flooding. So it's a matter of formality. It's a state job, and they're just asking us, because we are the owners of the bridge, to approve this change order.
Any questions?
Move for approval. Second.
Any questions for Shannon? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 17 is consider a motion to approve professional services agreement with Infrastructure Design Group for project development and emergency repair projects. Shannon Schultz.
Yes, again, thank you. This is different than the one that you approved about a month ago. Okay, we have two small e, small r emergency repairs going on. One is with FEMA, okay? That's of the township roads and non-federal aid rural minor collectors. Okay, that's FEMA, townships and our bridges. That was already approved. This is ER, capital E, capital R, administered and promulgated through the DOT and FHWA. So what's different about this one is the former FEMA one, we just got basically planning and preliminary design contract. This is going to be a contract with IDG to do design and do construction administration. And again, we're going to get about 81% of this money back as part of the ER disaster relief funds through FHWA. So my request to you today is to approve IDG's contract for both design and construction for $29,840.40. And completion should be done by July 1st.
Any questions for Shannon?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Shannon.
Item 18 is consider a motion to authorize the chairman to sign an addendum to the agreement between Minnehaha County and the Minnehaha County Deputies Association. Robert Wilson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Wilson of the Commission Office. As you know, Minnehaha County has a current 3-year agreement with the Minnehaha County Deputies Association through 2016. And a provision of that contract includes wage negotiations in both years 2015 and 2016. Your county negotiating team has now concluded negotiations with the Deputies Association and has prepared the attached contract amendment for your consideration. The association has already reviewed the addendum and has voted on it, has voted and will sign off on it. Therefore, four main points of that addendum that I would want to bring to your attention. Number one, there will be no general increase in either 2015 or 2016. Number two, the first step of the pay matrix will be eliminated in both 2015 and 2016, thereby increasing the minimum rate of pay each year by 2.5% for each pay grade. Employees that are below step 18 on the pay matrix as of the first payroll period will advance one step in the pay matrix in both years, in 2015 and 2016. And thereby step one will be eliminated in 2015, resulting in a 17-step plan, and step two will be eliminated in 2016, thereby creating a 16-step pay plan. The third point of that, of the addendum is that employees will also be eligible to receive their regular step increases with based on satisfactory performance at the normal anniversary renewal date for each employee. And employees who are at or will reach step 18 during the effective dates of the addendum will be topped out and will receive no further increase under the terms of this addendum. I know that members of your negotiating team are here in the room. That was for the county. That was Ken McFarland and Carrie Deaver, and then I know for the Deputies Association, Ryan Quolseth is also here. And Ryan may have some comments that he wants to make, and otherwise I would open it up for any questions.
Ryan Quolseth, I'm president of the Minnehaha County Deputies Association. Usually I don't really take this time to speak to the commission in open session, but it seems like strife and argument and tough times are always kind of put at the forefront, and collaboration, cooperation, and compromise is kind of a given. And so on this contract, there's a lot of collaboration and compromise and cooperation. And it was before the actual negotiations started. We met with the county representatives before the official negotiations and kind of talked about each other's sides and where one side felt they could go, and kind of laid out parameters. And that's how it started. And then we used the wage study and used real information and our goals and came up with a good compromise between what the county could pay, our goals of recruiting and retaining quality employees, and our real expectations as a union of what we can have and meeting those goals. And so I thought this was a place that I could say that a good thing happened here on this agreement. So I just wanted to say that.
Thanks, Ryan. Any questions for Ryan?
Deputy.
Look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to concur with that agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Barth.
I just want to state thank you, President Quolseth. That was very nice of you to say those things, and we're going to need you when we work with the legislature going forward.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, item number 20 is the
19.
deferral on...
19.
Oh, I wrote in the wrong spot. 19. Consider a motion to concur with agreement between Minnehaha County Sheriff's Department and the U.S. Marshals Service to provide jail beds for U.S. Marshals Service inmates. Robert Wilson.
I can take care of it for Robert.
Good.
Is it?
Yeah. Jeff Romer, I'm the warden at the jail. I can take care of this for Robert because it's really fairly easy. We were able to negotiate and come up with another new housing bed rate for the Marshals prisoners. Just to cut to the chase, the rate goes from $78.73 a day to $85 a day.
Okay. Any questions for the warden?
Move for approval. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Now we're on to item 20, which was the deferral on the swearing-in liquor license transfers.
Okay.
Michelle Boyd.
Back to that, Michelle.
Michelle Boyd, Chief Deputy with the Sheriff's Office. If I'm understanding your question correctly, I pulled the calls for service at that address. I'm not quite sure the date you're looking for. I went back a year, but I do notice on October 4th of 2013 it was still under the name of Chasers, so I maybe went back too far. A call for service, just so you know, is anything where either we could have initiated it or a call from that facility or that business. So the calls for service that I think you would be interested in is July 14th. There was an assault call On June 24th, there was a juvenile delinquency call. On March 21st, a disorderly subject call. And then on January 10th, a disorderly phone call. So 4 contacts. We did have some contact with them. We did a couple liquor stings there. They failed one earlier, but then they cleaned that up and passed it the next time we were there. We also went and assisted them with something that they needed internally, and so that generated 3 calls there, but that's follow-up and detective work, so that's nothing to be alarmed about.
And were all of these under the previous ownership?
Yes. The disorderly phone call started January 10th of 2014. I'm not sure what date.
You'd have to come up here just so everybody can hear. Sorry.
The Brecks, Marilyn and Patrick Breck, they took possession on October 1st, 2013, and we took back possession. Yeah, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Michelle?
Not a question, but
Comment from Kirsten, please.
okay. If I may, looking at the state's attorney's office's records and the sheriff's office records, I think the fence dispute that we're heard about earlier today started back in April of 2012, it looks like. There was a call made by Mr. Langdon about the fence. I just want to make clear that the sheriff's office investigators did their due diligence. They repeatedly attempted to contact both parties to follow up on this, and according to the reports that he got, neither one returned phone calls to follow up on this, so that's why nothing proceeded after that. We did get a request in our office for a subpoena for some records from this file, I believe probably to be used in a civil lawsuit from the Swearingen's counsel, but I don't see anything from the other side in our file. So just to let you know that there was an incident documented, but because I don't see any follow-up after the sheriff's deputy tried to contact the parties to investigate it further, the matter didn't proceed after that. So just so you know, the sheriff's office was involved on that. So
Mrs. Swearingen has another comment.
Thank you for researching that, because that confirms that this has been dragging out for years, and it's a personal vendetta. It's neighbor thing that's disputed, and it's going to civil court. And like I interjected before, I'm not here to combat anything she said up here at the podium, because I understand she can say whatever she wants to say. I would contest everything she said as being a false, an outright lie. But with that said, being a civil matter, we are the ones that hired counsel to fight this because we weren't getting satisfaction with the boundary lines. We even hired it to be surveyed. We've pushed along. Her attorneys don't respond. We're told by our attorney that their attorney is not getting a response from their household to move forward. So we're just kind of stalemated. Any other questions on that? Because it has been going on a long time. We'd love to have it off our record, our plate also. And may I also say one more thing about our license transfer? It's a transfer. What it is just taking it out of the Breck's name because they lost the business back into our name. And then I understand that renewals happen in December?
For the liquor license for December and malt beverages in June for July.
Okay. And when Marilyn Breck was here for that sting, may I ask a question? Did Lucille attend that meeting? Does anybody know?
No.
Okay, as you can see, it's against us, not the Brecks. And as you can see, the Brecks had quite a few calls during that short tenure that they ran the business. And I'm not saying that they're new at it. They were learning their business and so on. The results are in the pudding. Because of that, I would like to suggest, if the commission would please consider this, transfer this license today into our name, and at renewal time, if there's still some contest or, I apologize, I'm not an attorney. I'm not here with counsel. I'm defending myself here. But if there's any objections, then the Langdons will come back at that renewal and bring forth their comments. And maybe we'll get something done in the courts in the meantime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have questions from anybody?
think I'm going to take this back to the commission and remind you, too, that this was a public hearing, and this was to consider the application of the transfer of the retail on-sale liquor license and the retail on- and off-malt liquor licenses.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Benega.
Well, the reason I asked Michelle for her help was that there were some significant comments made about some assaults and those kinds of things. And to me, that should be part of this whole review of whether the license should be transferred. And obviously, some of those allegations weren't correct based on the information that we have. So I certainly support the transfer, but I believe that that's part of the review process, and I'm glad that it's frankly clean compared to what we were anticipating.
I have a motion and a second to approve the transfer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your patience.
Item number 21 is Minnehaha County Commissioner Liaison Reports.
Are there any liaison reports? Commissioner Benega, or excuse me, Barth.
Madam Chair, I also have a report on the convention. I don't know if we should all talk about that first and then go on to other liaison.
I was going to put it under, liaison or old business, whichever you
Okay, well,
want.
I'll just do my liaisons first.
Okay.
First of all, last night we were here till 9:45 with the Planning Commission. We had that solar array issue, and I think that we did make some progress, it appears, with listening to the concerns of the neighbors and having the proponents and neighbors together. There was also an issue, interestingly, that this is right on the county line with Lincoln County. And so while the proponents sent out a letter to everyone in the area, when they went for the CUP, conditional use permit, they only send it to the people in Minnehaha County. And that's, of course, I mean, we don't tell people in Rock County or Pipestone and Moody County doesn't tell us. I mean, this is an interesting issue where, there's maybe a lack of communication along the edges of our county. But so we approved that, and then we went on to that winery, and I must say that the sign was not allowed. There's the proponent for a winery out there by a wall lake has painted a sign the size of the wall behind Dick on his roof, and it says wine in big red letters. And apparently there's some history with this property as well, where years ago the owner asked to build a new home there, using up his eligibility with the understanding he was going to tear down his old house. Well, he never tore down his old house, so now that's going to be the winery. So there's a history with the Planning Commission that precedes my joining it that caused some issues. Anyway, that's planning. And then at the UDC meeting, we approved an application for a bike path for somebody down in Harrisburg. And I suggested that we look at getting funding for a bike path going to the McGovern School. I mean, we don't do sidewalks, but if there's grant money for the Safe Roads to Schools or whatever it's called, and we could build a bike path with some help, I think that seems reasonable. So CCOG is looking into that, and we may have to be part of that application process. And with that, I'll wait until we talk about convention.
Okay. Any other liaison reports? Okay. Is there any new business? Any old business? Commissioner Barth, you want to make your comments about convention?
First of all, I guess we can congratulate one of our number who, despite all of his shortcomings, was elected vice president of the association. Dick Kelly was unanimously selected as our second vice president, putting him in the sort of succession for president of the State Association of County Commissioners. And I have to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Then on our resolutions, we had a bit of a mixed bag. The 10% additional sales tax passed. The the 3% rate of inflation passed. That has passed the association to be taken forward to the legislature. We also passed the TIF issue that was a favorite of ours, and the defense of criminals at the penitentiary also passed. And I think I did have some interest in some of the seminars that I went to include one on mental illness, which I found fascinating. And I guess I'd turn it over to you to discuss our small disappointment in one issue.
All right. I tried to resurrect the the resolution that we had brought forward from this county regarding the sharing of sales tax from municipalities and the sales tax and use tax to be shared with counties. Was not able to get that back on the floor, and partially I think because of time. We were way past time to be adjourned to, and so there was no interest in bringing it back up. So we'll see how things shake out this year and maybe have to move forward again with that next year. A couple other workshops that I attended. One was a LEAN presentation, L-E-A-N. It's a program that the state of Minnesota is using where they teach efficiency training. The presenters said that they will go anywhere for free with the cost of just their transportation and their housing and teach these seminars. They teach a person in your organization how to run this efficiency training and work with them for several days and then put you on your own. The state of Minnesota has done it across the state and seen amazing results. Robert was also with me, and we were both quite impressed with the program that they have put out. It's online if you ever wanted to search LEAN, and it's also on the Minnesota State website. We had our JDAI presentation, and I think it was very well received, a Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative. We had a lot of questions afterwards, and I think enthusiasm by other counties in the state of South Dakota to be moving forward with the changes that we have made in how we deal with the right kids at the right time in the right place. I attended a human trafficking seminar, which has been in the news a lot in our area and nationwide, and it was also extremely interesting. We did have one more. We had what was called Understanding the Legislative Process, but Senator Brown, Representative Conan, and Representative DeVille basically opened it up for anyone to ask questions about current issues, and it was I think it was very well received. They took any question from the floor that we wanted. So, Commissioner Kelly, do you have anything else to add?
Well, yeah, going back to the liquor tax, because of some confusion on what numbers were what and everything else, that was moved to actually the approval was given for the board to come up with a resolution. I think it would be sent out to all the counties, but basically that would be brought to the legislature. That being said, I think also we're going to have 2 representatives on the board, as I understand, and I'm not sure if it's real clear yet, but both Gerald, who is the delegate, who is the appointed representative this year, and then I'll be doing it as second vice president. So it's an opportunity to have a little more voice at the table, and I think that'll work out well.
Any other old business? Commissioner Barth.
I just want to comment on Mayor Huther's suggestion of an increase in sales tax. I thought that was quite progressive of him to consider us. I recognize that there are other issues around it, but clearly we in the county need additional funding, and beggars can't always be choosers, and we can't let the perfect stand in the way of the good.
Commissioner Peckus.
Well, yeah, and what was real, I had a very pleasant conversation with him, and he had been coming back from his trip to Willitson, and he said it was amazing. I think the sheriff, or not the sheriff, but the mayor, I think is paid $13,000 a year, and they have 5 part-time commissioners in Willitson, and they are rapidly trying to control the growth that's well over 300%, and they're trying to build critical infrastructure. We're talking sewers, we're talking water, we're talking basic utilities. And he said if everybody isn't on the same plate when it comes to funding, then it's going to be a train wreck. And I think that really opened his eyes to potential pitfalls for underfunding critical areas of government.
I also visited with the mayor about the same time that John did and found a very interesting conversation and feel that he's very open and receptive to some of our issues that we have at this time. So, any other old business? Then I would look for a motion to adjourn into legal briefing, executive session for legal briefing, litigation, and personnel.
That's my motion.
Is there anything else you could throw in there? I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Meeting adjourned.